Hello, I am Priyadarshini Karve. I am the director of Samuchit Envirotech, a social enterprise based in Pune and working with the motto Enabling Sustainability. I am also currently the national convener of Indian Network on Ethics and Climate Change, or INEC. Our motto is People's Voices in Policy Choices. This is the 8th episode of the series. Let's try some thought experiments. Links to the previous episodes are in the description, and links to the future episodes will be added as and when new videos are made. I started off sharing some thoughts on how we need to transform our healthcare system to ensure access and affordability for those who need it the most. Assuming that we are going to now live in a world that will be frequently dealing with local or widespread disasters, in subsequent episodes, I shared some thoughts on how we can have a secure access to some basic necessities: food, energy, and water. In the context of water, I also considered the issue of water pollution and specifically sanitation systems. There is one more system associated with daily life that has impacts in all of these sectors: solid waste management system. If waste materials are not handled properly, this increases the risk of diseases and other adverse health impacts. The food supply chain is a source of a lot of waste, and some of the wastes are valuable inputs for sustainable farming systems. Dumping of solid wastes into natural water bodies is a prominent cause of water contamination. Wastes are of different types and their origins too are varied. However, a good way to classify waste materials is based on how they need to be handled. Thus, we talk about organic or biodegradable waste and inorganic or non-biodegradable waste. There is a third category of wastes that need to be handled much more carefully, and that is hazardous wastes. The complications and challenges in waste management are known to everyone. We all know that the starting point of the solution lies in minimization and segregation of waste at the point of generation, be it a home, an institution, or a business. Ideally, organic or biodegradable waste should not leave the point of generation at all, but be processed and used there itself. Various types of composting systems are the most favored and better known option, but there are also other interesting possibilities that are perhaps better aligned with a disaster infested future. I have already talked about the possibility of charring for dry or brown organic waste like garden or agricultural residue. A good option for wet or green organic waste is biogas generation. Technologies are available for a single household and all the way up to a food processing factory. The reason why I favor these options over composting is because both charring and biogas provide a locally available fuel and an organic fertilizer, while composting only provides organic fertilizer. All the non-biodegradable wastes like plastic, metal, glass, etc. must be recyclable and sufficient capacity must exist at the community level for their recycling. The current model of the so-called waste-to-energy systems has already failed for a variety of reasons. But there is now one more reason for discarding this model of collecting hundreds of tons of waste in one location and then attempting to process it. Consider this. In this pandemic situation, there are certain parts of a city that are sealed off due to high prevalence of the infection there. Only essential goods are allowed in, and that too for a limited period during the day. And yet, a huge amount of sewage and solid wastes are flowing out of the sealed off area without any control. What is more dangerous? Materials going into these areas or materials flowing out of these areas? Doesn't it make a compelling case for decentralized waste management with either household level, neighborhood level, or at the most municipal ward level systems? For recycling, repurposing, etc., the municipal ward is a large enough scale to make this financially viable. In small towns and villages too, it is time to enforce the rules around waste minimization and waste segregation before things go out of control. It would be easier to create proper systems on these clean slates than to reform the existing systems in big cities. But not everything is just up to the consumers. One huge component in the non-biodegradable wastes is packaging materials. Industries must be incentivized for innovating minimalistic packaging options that still serve the basic purposes of packaging, of keeping the products safe and secure. The third category of hazardous wastes must be treated with more seriousness than what we have done so far. We are not even insisting on three-way segregation of waste at source as yet. This needs to change immediately. What are these hazardous wastes? These include radioactive wastes and industrial wastes like fly ash, electronic wastes, medical waste from healthcare facilities, and sanitary waste from each household. All of these are extremely polluting with long-term, irreversible, and serious health impacts if they are allowed to escape into nature without any treatment. If there are any ways to extract and reuse some precious minerals from such wastes, those systems need to be put in place irrespective of energy or monetary cost. If no recovery is possible, or if there is a residue left after recovery of precious minerals, this is the only waste for which aggregation and incineration makes some sense. But in this case too, the level of air pollution from the incinerator must be closely monitored and cleaner technologies must continue to be innovated. None of what I have talked about is totally new. Across the world, there are small pockets where people have tried these various things and have succeeded in managing their waste in an eco-friendly and low-carbon manner. We do need rapid replication of best practices. Since I started the Thought Experiment series, several of you have shared your ideas with me. I'll try to collate some of the interesting suggestions in the next and final episode. But let's keep the ideas flowing. Remember that these are all thought experiments where we are collectively thinking through and visualizing potential strategies for a sustainable, inclusive, and climate friendly post COVID India. I hope that some of you are also further developing the thoughts triggered by this in your mind into actionable plans. That is the next step that we all can hopefully take soon. Thank you.